We started this module off by talking about how we need to form our acquisition strategy not on the basis of funnels, but on the basis of loops. Every meaningful company grows as a system of compounding loops. These compounding loops are what generate exponential growth over time. You'll find behind the fastest growing, most meaningful companies how they've layered on these loops over time to create sustainable, efficient, a compounding growth machine, just like LinkedIn. We can measure these loops based on the growth multiplier. This is important because just because we can draw a loop doesn't mean it's an impactful loop. So we need a way to measure the strength of return for a loop. The equation for the growth multiplier is 1 over 1 minus V, where V is the ratio of new signups between two cycles of our acquisition loop. What this tells us is for every user that we put into the loop, how many more are we going to get out through all the cycles of the loop? We talked about 4 different categories of acquisition loops: viral loops, content loops, paid loops, and sales loops. And identifying and understanding and doing this basic measurement of our loops is the first step. But once we do that, we need to explore what are the other levers we have to grow over time. Well, the first is that we can optimize our existing loops. The second is that we can think about how do we add and combine loops to enable new ceilings and make our current ecosystem even more efficient. And then the third thing, typically the lowest leverage activity, is that we can increase linear channels in order to continue feeding our loops. Now, when we look at this, we need to understand how do we manage our bets over time? Should we be spreading our bets equally across new loops and existing loops, or how should we be piling that money and those bets on into a specific area? That's what we're going to explore in the next couple lessons. We're going to start with the 3 strategic levers to grow over time: optimizing existing loops, adding loops, and increasing linear channels.